Hey! What's up, folks? It's Reese on the radio right here live on Wacky Family Music News and Talk Station. We're broadcasting live on YouTube today. See exactly how that works out today. You know the telephone number, so use it. 703-646-8754. Again, 703-646-8754. As I usually do, came out here with a stack of newspapers. They are not in order because I normally don't put them in order. Friend of ours, James O'Keefe, is in the news today. Hopefully tomorrow will be a bellwether day against the news media and the Clinton News Network. You may know them as CNN, Wolf Blitzer, Jake Tapper, Jim Acosta, Brooke Baldwin. You know all of them. You've been familiar with them for quite some time. If you do watch CNN, some of you claim that you watch them all. No one believes you. But if you watch them, you watch them. If you don't, you don't. But we'll be talking about that. And so much more. The GOP lawmakers, you may have seen this in the news, that there have been these rallies that are happening at these town halls for GOP leaders, congressmen, senators. Mitch McConnell went through a little bit of this today, or yesterday, I should say, going back home to Kansas, I'm almost certain. It's either Kansas or Kentucky. It's one of the K's. He was confronted by some woman who said she was ashamed of him and all this other nonsense. Blah, 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 blah. But we'll get into that. I promised to get into Milo Yiannopoulos today. I didn't get a chance to get into it yesterday because I allowed Michael Gay to call in during the show. And you know what happened there? He just roughshot the whole show. But I told you it's important to have people like him on. There are other liberals who I've asked to come on said that they would come on. They said, in fact, one person, I'm not going to give their name up until they actually call. But they went so far as to suggest the reason why they wouldn't come on is because I might give them a heart attack. In so many words. That being on the show with me might cause them to have some sort of heart ailment. I paraphrase. It's always about their heart. Everything is always a heart. Their heart bleeds for everybody and everything. It's always worried about their feelings. That's the goddamn F word to me. Feelings. We've got college campuses out there who are not only trying to censor the opposition's speech in their schools, but now you ought to report on them. Like the brown shirts. They call President Donald Trump a fascist. But college students encouraging others to report people who make offensive speech. This is like being tattletaled on by your child. You know, or by your sibling. Like your little sister. Reese ate the last cupcake. Preschool teacher no longer with school after she sends out a tweet or a message to her daughter. Wait until you hear this nonsense. That is going to baffle the hell out of you. As I said, James O'Keefe is in the news. I will break that story down to you. Ha! My old stomping grounds, my old residence, Rikers Island. That's going to be in the news today. New York is a sanctuary city. What they're doing in Rikers Island and why I'm personally offended by this story. And being straight in the WNBA. There's so much behind this story, folks. I don't even know where to begin. It's not just the story about this woman. What's her name? Candace Wiggins. There's not just enough about her story that is compelling. It's other things that are in the story that I personally sort of glommed onto. I mean, literally, I was like the Blob. I just went right to that part of the story. What their average ratings are. What are considered good ratings for a WNBA game broadcast on television. Why is someone not fired? And we'll play some audio today. Mika Brzezinski talking about how it's the media's job to control what you think, not the president's. And look, and MTV is in the news. I don't even think I'm going to get into this story. Because an MTV host admits that they got involved with some protesters. You know, that after going out there supposed to be reporting on what's happening, actually joined the protesters. MTV is not a news organization. It's nothing more than a bunch of liberal zealots. That's what they are and who they are. It's just who it is that they are. Well, let's talk about Milo Yiannopoulos, who I've said on this program I adored. Him and Ben Shapiro. Both of these gentlemen, I love them. They have two different approaches. I'm sure the two of them don't like each other. Who cares? But Milo Yiannopoulos has resigned from Breitbart, where he was an editor. His book, Dangerous, has been canceled by Simon & Schuster. And his backlash is all over the place. Because of comments he made about young boys and older men in relationships, sexual relationships. And his words were used against him. I guess the best way to put it. Because I don't want to speak for what he meant, how he meant it, and what was said. And I don't want to go, I mean, what was said was what was said. And that was, he was talking about how relationships between younger boys and older men was beneficial to young men who had a problem with coming out about their sexuality to their parents. To sum up. But you can't use the word young boys. That is immediately interpreted as a child. Now, if someone was in their 50s or 60s talking about young men or young boys, he would probably get a pass. It was like, someone would probably ask him, well, what do you mean by young boys? It was like, the younger boys in their teens and 20s and, all that other stuff. The millennial years, whatever it may be. That, they would immediately question that. But Milo, everything he says is scrutinized. It goes without saying. Goes without saying. And with that scrutiny, you're going to get backlash. It doesn't matter what it is that he's done. His record exposing pedophiles, it's well documented that he has. In his journalism, in his practice, he has. But he called himself a distraction to Breitbart and said he had to move on. People are asking me what it is that my opinion of him is. I don't have an opinion of him. I don't know him. I like what he stands for. He stands for conservatism. He stands for trolling. I like that. I troll all the time. I got a post on Facebook that's still going strong right now. And I just said it in jest. And trust me, that people are going nuts over it. To get people to have a conversation is a good thing. To get them engaged is a good thing. To see who it is, those who are serious about getting involved in a conversation. Those people will engage in conversation. Those of you who don't want to get engaged in conversation and just want to bomb throw, you know who you are. The best part about Milo was that he bombed through back. And a lot of people don't know this, is that this alt-right movement that everyone's talking about, well, that was me. I was talking about the alt-right before it was popular. And I was pretty much laying out the manifesto about what the new right should be, the new conservatism. And that was to use the tactics of the left. And that was to name call, to demonize, to ridicule. Absolutely. It's my idea. Let them get a taste of their own medicine. And what happened when that began with the alt-right movement? Evolved the snowflake. Evolved the person who could not be offended. All of a sudden, they were talking about hate speech, even though for years we were listening to the banter of leftists talking about killing the 43rd president of the United States, even making a movie about it by Lionsgate, produced by Lionsgate Films. The assassination of a president. Got rave reviews about killing George W. Bush. We needed to start doing that. We needed to start attacking the left the way they attacked us. The nobility is gone. To being passé, all that other nonsense of being, let's just make our strong arguments and let them spew the vitriol. It got us nowhere. Being the kinder, gentler party or position got us nowhere. It helped us lose the 2012 election. And with the bravado and the vitriol that came from Donald Trump, it was brutal. It's brutal. We won. Which proved my point. Back in 2011 when I recorded the piece that was on MRC TV. Proved again that I knew what it was that I was talking about. But what else is new? So anyway, enough with that. Milo, he will find another forum. He'll either rebuild or he'll go away. Right now, the left is cheering that they took one of us down. I don't like it. But hey, whatever. Sometimes the enemy scores. Sometimes the away team wins a game. That doesn't mean that you buckle. It means that you pull yourself together and find out how to win the next match. And that's what we're going to do. I promise you that's what we're going to do. Milo will be okay. Milo has strong followers. And if they're worth their medal, as they say, he'll win the day another day. Who's our guy here? James O'Keefe. Love him. Love him, love him, love him. They tried to take him down a couple of times. James O'Keefe, the man who destroyed Acorn. Anybody remember that? Man who took out Acorn. Posing as a pimp. This way. Just so you know. This guy posed as a pimp. This guy right here. He posed as a pimp. And destroyed Acorn. Well, James O'Keefe is at it again. People refuse to even report on some of the stuff. The expose, hundreds of thousands of people have watched his videos on Project Veritas right here on YouTube. And yet the mainstream media won't cover them. Now, Fox News, I'll give it to them, they have. Newsbusters and all that other websites, they've covered them. But try this one off size. Is James O'Keefe about to smoke CNN? He tells Sean Hannity on his radio show he's set to release hundreds of hours of newsroom footage, WikiLeaks style. James O'Keefe of Project Veritas is set to unleash holy hell Thursday on hashtag fake news network CNN. Well, he didn't exactly say it was CNN, but it was heavily implied. Apparently the network has a mole. O'Keefe, known for undercover sting operations which have led to such bombshells as the DNC's paid agitator network and outing Disrupt J20 Antifa organizers who took place at Comet Ping Pong and netted 3 arrests, including a suspected pedophile, and most recently New Hampshire election fraud, Today, O'Keefe was interviewed, or yesterday was interviewed, on Sean Hannity's radio show where he revealed that a major network has been stunned. O'Keefe says in the next 48 hours, Project Veritas, like WikiLeaks, will be releasing hundreds of hours of tape within the established media. Our next target is, in fact, the media. Hannity asked him, how long have you been working on this? O'Keefe said, we had people inside come to us, just like Julian Assange has people come to him. We've had people, sources come to us and give us information, and we're going to be releasing it WikiLeaks style this week. Hannity asked, can you give us a hint what organizations are going to be impacted by this? O'Keefe said, it's one that Trump has really been talking about. You can probably use your imagination. Hannity responds, so it's CNN? O'Keefe says, in other words, a closeted Trump supporter working deep inside hyperliberal CNN just gave O'Keefe a ton of behind-the-scenes footage of the most trusted name in news. My guess is we're about to hear a bunch of establishment media puppets revealing their extreme hatred for the sitting president of the United States. You may remember that there was a report where one of, during an on-air show, Trump was about to land at a rally in an airplane. And the one of the CNN employees, a producer, was talking to the on-air host, saying, okay, so you're going to give me a cue when it lands, the host says. And it's like, yeah, okay, so we're going to give you you can hear him over the WhatsApp. We're going to give you a cue when he is landing. Or if it crashes. And they all laugh. That's what we're dealing with here, folks. So tomorrow, who knows what time O'Keefe is going to release it, but I expect you to go to Project Veritas on YouTube to catch all of the footage or the footage as he releases it. I believe piecemeal. He'll release it. And I know Sean Hannity will be finding, I'm sure he'll get it exclusive. And he'll have it on his show at 10 p.m. on the Fox News channel. So I'm expecting that to be, just don't, James, love you, boy. I love you. But don't you dare let us down. This better be some good stuff. Some damn good stuff. I'm waiting for this. The WNBA is in the news in one article, just one article that I saw in the New York Post. Straight WNBA star says lesbian culture broke my spirit. Now, I'm not here to say that there are nothing but lesbians in the WNBA. You may have heard my joke where I said the WNBA stands for we're not boys, all right? But Candace Wiggins was a college star at Stanford, the third pick of the 2008 WNBA draft, and a 2011 champion. And at the mountaintop of her basketball career, her sexuality marred the moment. She said, there is a very, very harmful culture running through the WNBA, she said, which saw her get bullied during her 8-year career because she is heterosexual. Wiggins, who last played in the league in 2015, said she retired prematurely to leave a league that she estimated wildly is 98% lesbian. That's more than I suspected. 98% lesbian. She said, it wasn't like my dreams came true in the NBA. It was quite the opposite. She said, I wanted to play 2 more seasons of WNBA, but the experience didn't lend itself to any mental state. It was a depressing state in the WNBA. It's not watched. Our value is diminished. It can be quite hard. I don't like the culture inside the WNBA. And without revealing too much, it was toxic for me. My spirit was being broken. The 30-year-old woman couldn't take it anymore, being harassed and being straight and fighting for attention in a league that is starved. She said, me being heterosexual and straight, that's kind of redundant, and being vocal in my identity as a straight woman was huge, Wiggins said. I would say 98% of the women in the WNBA are gay women. It was a conformist type of place. There was a whole different set of rules. They, the other players, couldn't apply. Oh, they could apply, I'm sorry. Wiggins, who played for the Lynx, the Shock, the Sparks, and Liberty, claimed the issues revolve around a lack of attention the league has garnered as the NBA struggles on ticket sales and TV ratings. For the 2016 season, the WNBA said its average attendance was 7,655 people. How is this surviving? In a media culture that embraces homosexuality, not only embraces it, encourages it, pushes it, shoves it down your goddamn throat. 7,600 people in attendance? She said there was a lot of jealousy and competition. We're all fighting for crumbs. The way I looked, the way I played, those things contributed to the tension. Now this is an interesting one. Because people talk about football and sports and how rough it is and concussions and how brutal the sport can be and how mean-spirited the players can be. And listen to what Wiggins says here. She says, quote, people were deliberately trying to hurt me all the time. I had never been called a bitch so many times in my life than I was in my rookie season. I've never been thrown to the ground so much. The message was, we want you to know we don't like you. Now, I read a story yesterday about Michael Sam, talking about how the sports world hated his homosexuality. Might I make a suggestion, Michael Sam? I'm going to make a suggestion. Join the WNBA. I mean, seriously. If you want to survive in this business and be a sports player, perhaps you should just join the WNBA. I think they'd love you there. Or not. That's just me.
There's only one Reese on the radio.
All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio right here live on Whack FM Music News and Talk Station. I think my co-host quit on me. Black activist Kim may have quit on a brother. I wonder what that's about. There's no love for a brother. No love. That's all right. I keep trying to tell people this is a solo act. That's all right. I'll make her pay for it soon enough. Preschool teacher, no longer with the school, after sending a message to her daughter. Listen to this one. This is just amazing. This is in fact, this is more amazing because of the fact that it was a preschool teacher. Preschool. She deals with our youngins. Now, when you think of a preschool teacher, you think of somebody who's like, what's the best way to describe it? Just somebody who's nurturing, molding young minds. Preschool, for crying out loud, was that 4 or 5 year olds? Those are little babies. But to her daughter, she had something completely different to say on her daughter's trip overseas. A Texas preschool teacher parted ways with one. Sorry, I'm just completely blew that. Completely screwed up that story. A Texas preschool parted ways with one of its teachers pending an investigation into inflammatory social media posts against Jews, a newspaper reported. Nancy Salem, or Salem, it could be Salem, who knows, who was teaching at the Children's Courtyard School in South Arlington, tweeted a number of hateful messages, including a joke. The joke went, quote, "How many Jews died in the Holocaust?" End quote. Answer, not enough. Another tweet directed towards the messages was discovered by the Canary Mission, a watchdog organization that exposes the anti-American and anti-Jewish rhetoric on the internet. Salem was one of 24 people associated with the University of Texas Arlington chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine, who were found to be posting hateful language against Jews and Israel. Salem's Twitter profile has since been disabled, and her preschool began investigating after concerned parents complained. I don't know anybody advocating for this broad, by the way. Salem, or Salem's, Twitter profile has since been disabled, and her preschool, right, I read that, I apologize. The Children's Courtyard School said in a statement obtained by the newspaper, "Our senior management team is working to address this matter. This in no way reflects the views of the Children's Courtyard. We strive to provide an inclusive environment for all children, families, and staff members. We also expect our employees to uphold the standards of personal and professional conduct." The Children's Courtyard reportedly suspended Salem at first, but Wednesday morning the school confirmed that she was no longer with the company. Now, here's what she tweeted. This was to her daughter, who was traveling overseas. She writes to her daughter, "Have a safe trip, Lulu. Have a safe trip, Lulu. I love you, baby girl. See you in 3 weeks. Kiss the Palestine ground for me and kill some Jews." She puts a little heart and hashtag, "I miss you already." This was a preschool teacher in the United States, obviously Palestinian, telling her daughter, have a safe trip, but make sure that trip is unsafe for the Jews you might embark or pass by, and kill a few for your mommy. I love you. I miss you already. What am I missing here, folks? Yeah, I know somebody's going to sit around and tell me, it's like, that's an awful story. No real parent would want that. She's teaching preschoolers. Are we not vetting our preschool teachers? I wonder. Preschoolers. We got to get into Maxine Waters today. Maxine Waters. I talked about her yesterday. Hell, I've talked about her dozens of times. Maxine Waters, reprobate, loser, piece of garbage. She, most notably, at least for me, she made comments along the lines of where she believed that children should learn Ebonics in public school. Specifically, black kids. They should learn Ebonics. And the reason why they should learn Ebonics is because they don't know how to learn any other way. They have to learn the language that they talk at home. I'm dead serious. And if they're taught learning the language, learning, with using the language they learn at home, that these kids would have better grades. That's what they believe. That's what she believes. She props up this idea that not only are these children ignorant, but this is a way of life, that it's not to better themselves. We have to lower the standards for these children because they are, they're dumb. They can't learn. So now we have to, go to their level. Well, recently on the safe MSNBC, where she likes to go, and this is a safe space for her, MSNBC, she went on Rachel Maddow's little sister's show, Chris Hayes. She went on his show, and she was talking about the Donald Trump appointees to his cabinet. And how she described them, folks, shows you why that in 2018, when the midterm elections do happen, the Democrats are going to lose even more seats. Now, Maxine Waters will be safe. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, she will be safe. No one is going to challenge that pathetic piece of garbage. I was going to say something else, but I know people are going to say, it's like, damn, you call her that, and you'll get kicked right off YouTube. And I don't want to say it. I have my own personal view. I don't want to say anything that's going to be disparaging to a woman, especially a black congresswoman. People love Maxine Waters for reasons I'll never ever understand. But they do. So I don't want to say anything that's going to get so many people riled up. I'm going to get to the video as soon as these son of a bitches get their act together. I hate it when I'm ready to go and something else happens. I'll get to Maxine Waters in a second. But she just really, really shows what's wrong with leftists in this country. Look at that. Wow. Only had to press it. That's all I had to do. Just had to press it in Maxine Waters, and there it was. So here it is. She's talking about Republicans on Rachel Maddow's little sister's show. And how do I watch this? It's amazing how it is that I do this all the time. Here's the audio of Representative Maxine Waters talking to Chris Hayes.
Them lifted because this Klan, this Kremlin Klan, is all about getting the oil and gas money and doing the drilling, and they need this president. They need this president to get these sanctions lifted. And don't forget, the second executive order that was signed by the president, that was 1504, yep, which basically would undo the work that we've done with Dodd-Frank in making these oil companies disclose the money that they were using to bribe these countries with in Africa and other places. And so 1504 was very important because
And again, it just, what's wrong with you people? I'm just going to have a deep time. I'm just going to have a problem with this stuff today. I'm just going to have to kill the internet. You have to murder it. I have no idea what the hell's going on. But I can't even get this thing. Okay, whatever. Let me get my ass in gear and get my stuff together. Because once I do that, then I can play this audio and keep it moving. Other than that, it's just going to be a damn mess. It's going to be a catastrophe. And I don't want it to be a catastrophe. I'm just trying to get this stuff working. Give me a minute. I'll take a break. We'll come back. There'll be more.
There's only one Reese on the radio.
But all of them want them lifted because this Klan This Kremlin clan is all about getting the oil and gas money and doing the drilling, and they need this president. They need this president to get these sanctions lifted. And don't forget, the second executive order that was signed by the president, that was 1504, which basically would undo the work that we had done with Dodd-Frank in making these oil companies disclose the money that they were using to bribe these countries with in Africa and other places. And so 1504 was very important because Exxon and others now will not have to disclose all of the bribes that they're doing. But these people are all organized around oil and gas. Why are they all in this administration? Why are they all so close to them? And you alluded to and talked about what is going on with this proposal that is being pushed by Michael Cohen, the president's personal lawyer, who delivered the document. Felix F. Sater, a business associate who helped Mr. Trump scout deals in Russia, and a Ukrainian lawmaker trying to rise in a political opposition movement shaped in part by Mr. Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort. Can't people see what's going on? Why do you think they hacked into our election? They hacked into the election because they have to make sure that Donald Trump got elected so that he can help them with what I think is a huge deal. Not only to lift these sanctions, but to take over, you know, all of these Soviet countries and pull them back into the Soviet Union so that they could have access to all of these resources. It's clear to me. And I just...
Maxine Waters, where was all of this when the Clinton Global Initiative was giving up our uranium in Wyoming to the Russians? Where was all of this? I mean, you were silent as all hell as the Soviet Union pretty much just purged our uranium in Wyoming. Just quiet. Now all of a sudden you're heavily engaged in all of this. Oh, you're so concerned about oil-rich countries. Oh, you're so concerned. Oh, give me a break. It's the reason why this woman is a joke. No one takes her seriously. But she went further. She went further, folks. She went further.
I think the American people had better understand what's going on. This is a bunch of scumbags. That's what they are.
Those are very strong words,
organized around making money.
Who do you mean by that when you call them scumbags? Who are you talking about?
All of these people who are organized with these oil and gas interests that's in the administration and friends of the President of the United States, this back channeling that you see, these are a bunch of scumbags.
Secretary of State, you mean the Secretary of State of the United States?
Well, I tell you this, Tillerson is there to get these sanctions lifted. I believe it. Just watch him. He's going to continue to work on it. This is important for him. He was there because he negotiated the deal for Exxon with Putin.
All right. Well, there's going to be a big fight over that if that happens. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, thanks for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey there, I'm Chris Haight.
That's her. They're all a bunch of scumbags. That's what she called them. She called them scumbags. You or I, we could call these people scumbags all day, every day. We call them scumbags all day, every day. But a sitting congresswoman? Someone of her stature? And while you people are out there applauding it, yeah, that's right. Call them what? Go ahead, sister girl. You call them what they are, scumbags. Guess what it does? Rallies up the base. Rallies up Trump supporters, forces them to do one thing and one thing alone. Make sure that they rally up the troops. They may come after your seat, Maxine. Get your sorry ass up out of there. Which is probably what's going to happen. But you're safe. Your constituents don't know what you're doing because you've done nothing. You're absolutely protected. That's why you can say anything you want. You could get on Chris Hayes' program and shoot a baby in the face. and your voters will still let you in, even allow you to serve behind bars. That's how visionless those people are. That's how ridiculous those people are. And that's the reason why you've been there for so long. Now, I don't know whether or not, folks, you heard Mika Brzezinski today. Because this is something that each of you should know. Mika Brzezinski let the cat out of the bag today. And it's something that you should hear. Donald Trump has the media so frazzled. Here it is, he calls the media the enemy of the state. Pretty much the enemy of the American people, is what he said, but the enemy of the state. Now, what exactly does that mean? What does that mean for these people? It means a lot. It hurts them. They're very, very thin-skinned, those in the media. They think they're important. They think they're relevant. They think what they believe and how they feel is more important than you or I. And you're supposed to think like them because they're the press. They're the media. You have to think like us. We are the moral high ground. We have the moral high ground. What we believe is more important than what it is that you believe. You are fickle. You are nothing. You don't know what you want. Only we know what you need. And so in this argument about whether or not the media is the enemy of the American people, Mika Brzezinski could not stop herself.
And that's exactly what I hear. What Yamiche just said is what I hear from all the Trump supporters that I talk to who were Trump voters and are still Trump supporters. They go, yeah, you guys are going crazy. He's doing, what are you so surprised about? He's doing exactly what he said he's going to do.
Well, and I think that the dangerous, edges here are that he's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts. And it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
Yeah, if you look at the...
Did you hear that? To control what people think. That Donald Trump is trying to control what people think. And that is our job. That is our job. And she really believes that. She believes that the media's stake in all this is to control what people think. Not to report the news, not to report facts, and give opinion if you give opinion, but to control what people think is absolutely preposterous. That's not your job by any means. And let me see if I can find this. Our job is to control the people. Let me see if I can find this. This was an interesting audio that I've tried to get many people to hear. Just hearing people say this. You need to hear people say this, elected politicians who say this. It's baffling to me. And it's funny because I'm looking for this audio and Mika Brzezinski is the only thing that it keeps coming up. It's funny because now I can't find it. Everybody's got this Mika Brzezinski audio up instead of the guy who says that our political job is to get people to... Is this it? This has got to be it. Ed Morrissey. Yes, it is. This is it. Listen here.
Are we ready to let 72,000 more people die? in our country if 18,000 died, or whatever the number is, the figure that anyone comes up with per year because of a lack of health insurance or health care, when this bill doesn't basically take effect until 2014?
Paul W., we're not ready to be doing it, but let me remind you, this has been going on for years. We are bringing it to a halt. The harsh fact of the matter is, when you're going to pass legislation that will cover 300 American people in different ways, it takes a long time to do the necessary administrative steps that have to be taken to put the legislation together to control the people. You know, our Republicans have spent a long time not participating, not helping, carping and delaying, but at the same time, they have contributed nothing to this and made no offer whatsoever as to what it is they want or what they stand for.
That's John Dingell. That's right, Representative John Dingell. You heard him say it. Legislation to control the people.
Halt. The harsh fact of the matter is, when you're going to pass legislation that will cover 300 American people in different ways, it takes a long time to do the necessary administrative steps that have to be taken to put the legislation together to control the people. You know, our Republicans have spent a long time not participating, not helping, carping and delaying, but at the same time, they have contributed nothing to this and made no offer whatsoever as to what it is they want or what they stand for.
To
Are we ready to let
control the people. Let that sink in. They say a gaffe is when a politician accidentally tells the truth. Representative John Dingell, doing what it is that we can to control the people. What more can you say? And here's Mika Brzezinski saying it herself. It's we, the media, who control what people think.
There's only one Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio right here live on Micro Family Music News and Talk Station. I got a Rikers Island story that I think is actually pretty interesting. Sanctuary city law lets gang member walk free from Rikers. All illegal immigrant gang member from El Salvador, an illegal immigrant gang member from El Salvador was allowed to walk free from Rikers Island under Mayor Bill de Blasio's sanctuary city law in defiance of federal petition to hold him for deportation, officials said on Tuesday. Quote, this man is by his own admission a member of a violent street gang and was released back into the community, said Thomas Decker, the field office director of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Unit, ICE, in New York. Honoring a detainer request is not about politics. It's about keeping New York citizens safe. Estevan Rafael Marquez Velasquez. Why do they always have like 9 different names? Jesus. An admitted member of the notorious MS-13 gang was released from Rikers Island on February 16th after serving time for disorderly conduct. ICE officials had requested last May that Velasquez, who was ordered removed by an immigration judge in November of 2015, be turned over to them when he was done serving his sentence, but no one at ICE was alerted to his release. They were forced to send their own agents to find him, and they were able to track him down on the same day in Queens. He has been processed and is now in detention pending removal, an ICE agent said on Tuesday. The 19-year-old Salvadorian national has a criminal history in the United States that includes second-degree reckless endangerment, fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon, and disorderly conduct. But Velasquez's convictions are not on the city's list of roughly 170 offenses that are deemed serious or violent under the de Blasio's 2014 sanctuary city law. The city's officials do not notify federal agents about the release of illegal immigrants convicted of minor crimes. The detainee was released after he pled guilty and served time for an offense that does not qualify as a violent or serious felony under the city's local laws. His gang affiliation was not supported by evidence that meets or met even the minimal constitutional standards, a City Hall spokesperson said. When ICE presents evidence to our city that an individual in our custody has been convicted of a violent or serious offense, one that threatens the public safety, we will fully cooperate, saying that in this particular case, he did not. And they let him free. Listen, New York has become the live and let die city. That's what it is. It's the live and let die city. If you're there, that's what you're supposed to do. Live and let die. Don't say anything. These people are poor, unfortunate souls who did nothing wrong, and they can roam free through your cities. Oh, he's an MS-13 gang member, but he ain't never done nothing. You heard Michael Gay here yesterday. Stop separating families. Doesn't matter what it is that they've done. Separating black families for decades. Michael Gay's okay with that. But those poor, unfortunate souls who came across the border willingly, oh no. Don't you dare be putting no hands on them. This from the Washington Examiner. Hundreds of campuses encourage students to turn in fellow students for offensive speech. Universities are the cradle of free speech, where ideologies and ideas clash, where academics and activists can agree, disagree, or be disagreeable. This is particularly true in the United States, where the First Amendment zealously guards against government surveillance and intrusion into free speech. Yet, at hundreds of campuses across the country, administrators encourage students to report one another or their professors for speech protected by the First Amendment, or even mere political disagreements. The so-called bias response team, or the BRT, the bias response team. Reviewing these often anonymous reports typically include police officers, student conduct administrators, and public relations staff who scrutinize the speech of activists and academics. This sounds like the stuff of Orwell, although even he might have found the name bias response team to be over the top. Over the past year, I've surveyed more than 230 such reporting systems for the Foundation of Individual Rights in Education, and asked dozens of schools for records about their bias response team. What I found is detailed in a new report describing how universities broadly define bias to include virtually any speech, protected or not, that subjectively offends anyone. On many campuses, administrators are called upon to referee whether speech is polite. The threat to expressive rights isn't confined to speech from the left or the right. Bias reporting systems are being used to report all kinds of speech. And at Appalachian State University, students reported on one another for chalked messages that were pro-Trump, as well as chalked messages calling Trump a racist. The former were reported by students as hate speech. The latter was called politically biased slander. That was unlawful. While students at Ohio State University reported each other for comparing Hillary Clinton to Hitler, students at Texas Tech were whispering to administrators that the Black Student Union's tweet in support of Black Lives Matter movement offended them. Meanwhile, the University of Oregon saw it fit to dictate community expectations to students who had the audacity to complain about oppression. Yes, complaining about oppression may bring the bias response team to your dorm room to explain why your views are insufficiently polite, decent, and non-controversial. These are just a few examples we've published so far. Over the next several weeks, we plan on publishing more. And this is on their website, thefire.org/newsdesk. What happens when the bias response team is alerted to subversive or offensive speech? Some teams have demonstrated an awareness that a public university cannot and should not act to chill protected speech, focusing their efforts instead on supporting students who encounter offensive speech. But the others, such as the University of California, San Diego, call upon their lawyers to find creative ways to censor offensive speech. In that case, a student newspaper satirizing safe spaces. University is now being sued for these creative efforts. Many bias response teams respond with what they characterize as an educational response. You shouldn't do that. This might sound like a faculty member visiting a student who was reported for racist speech and discussing the civil rights movement, but it's not. Rather, it's often an administrator, not an educator, summoning a student or faculty member to a meeting, reprimanding them and educating them about how their words has upset someone. Boo frickin' who? I can't take this nonsense anymore. I'm out of here, folks. That's our show for tonight. I'm going to go watch some Tucker Carlson. As I always say, thank you for watching us. Remember, radio is free, so thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. And remember, panic ain't planning. So plan your work and work your plan. I'm Reese on the radio for Mary Mary While You're Bugging, who's actually home tonight. Holla holla. Pocket collar. We'll see you later.